Hey y'all, Mac here. Wanted to record a really quick video. I know I said this build is pretty much done and there's not as many updates, if any, that I'd make of it, but I just needed to make a small update on the new setup I have. Now, keep in mind, this is a lot more currency than I think is really worth spending on the build. Like, it caps out pretty hard, I think, at least with my setup, and it definitely doesn't really compare in terms of boss damage to other builds, but I think the overall quality of life and it being a literal one-button build now is pretty nice. So I got an Ingenuity, and I'm running a lot of chaos damage and rarity on these rings. So my current rarity is, I think, around, it's like 224%. I dropped some crit, but most notably, you can see I am taking inspiration and Lifetap, right? So we were taking inspiration, we were spending mana on our Hexblast. Now it's completely costing life, and it actually costs around 387 life. And this might seem problematic at first, but with the leech node, it actually kind of works out pretty well. The downside to this is if we get hit by a big hit from the boss, or from any really dangerous mob, we might struggle to really cast anything at all, you know? Like, it's definitely reliant on your life flask management if you have to use it a lot in like a boss fight, but other than that, we're able to now spam Hexblast on a boss without having to worry about mana whatsoever. So that means that Sigil Power also loses its use. Like, we can't really, proc it, which is fine. But I think the overall gain in quality of life just means we are allowed to actually play bosses, and as long as we are able to dodge mechanics and stuff, we can just infinitely put damage into the boss. Now, because we're spending so much more life than before, we are gonna need to do some respecking on the tree. I think the biggest change is I'm taking mind over matter now. So that means that our scaling on our mana is actually contributing to an even bigger life pool. It's not really a fix for the tankiness of the build. The build is still like, if you just stand still and let mobs hit you, you're gonna die. But like, it's tanky enough to prevent some one-shots now. I can use mana as an indicator of whether or not I'm actually gonna need to pause and log if I want to avoid dying. So if I'm like dropping to like all my mana's gone and I can see my ES is gone, that's when I know I'm pretty squishy. I have 2k life, right? But before that, I have a lot of mitigation. Less so mitigation, more so just a big pool, hit pool. And other than that, I took out Arcane Surge because while it does give a lot of more cast speed, you can honestly find this elsewhere, like on rings with Ingenuity, and also we gain access to more skill points to put into crit. And since we're taking a skill gem out, I took out Chaos Mastery and threw that onto, I want to say it's just Withering Presence. And instead, right, we're running Lifetap, and so we have a little less damage if we didn't spec these crit nodes. So what, again, this setup does is it allows us to just completely move away from mana regen. I don't have to worry about mana regen. If my mana gets completely depleted from a big hit, I can always just spam my flask and I'll be good. And other than that, yeah, I think there's some merit maybe to going down here and grabbing these nodes. If you have enough crit chance, this might be a really strong node, but I just don't think I can run that right now. I don't have the points. But yeah, overall, you can also run more ES. You can run more area of effect if you really just want to focus on clearing. But I think that the build feels solid overall now. Like, I can do most of the content that I want to very efficiently, and it does a lot better on bosses with this current setup. So, just a little quick update. I'll be making some other videos on content guides, specifically expeditions, so look out for that soon. And until next time, ciao.